Peyton, can I ask you a quick question?
No.
The vice president of Kemah's water board already knew what we wanted to talk about. Like a number of public officials in Kemah, Peyton Lumpkin now finds himself covered in the mud of a suspect land deal.
We'd like to ask you why you didn't tell Mr. Raimondo that the land that he was buying was built on a dump.
I don't have anything to say.
Marco Ramonda is one of several people who bought land on Delisandre Lane from the water board back in 2021. The property used to be a city garbage dump, but a lot of the buyers say no one ever told them that. It was land that had increased levels of arsenic found on it. It turns out our first story on this real estate mess dug up more than dirt and glass.
Got a piece of broken glass that clogged my nozzle. It's clear broken glass.
We dug up a gold mine in the form of emails involving Alana Croker, the realtor for the WCID board. Marco and former city councilman Robert Kelly, both property owners on Delisandre, are furious they were deceived.
Well, as a result of your story, I was able to see that there were emails from Alana Croker with members of WCID 12 who were openly discussing the fact that the previous deal fell through because the place was a landfill.
Robert and Marco can now prove the landfill history was known by a lot of public officials. In November 2020, real estate agent Croker wrote to WCID 12's legal counsel and two board members about an earlier pending sale of that exact same property that had fallen through. Quote, "The buyers have decided they don't want to move forward for what they want to do with the property as a residential home. The landfill really bothers them. State law is clear. It requires disclosure of the history of a piece of land to any prospective buyer, and that includes its use as a former garbage dump. It's in black and white." Chris Richardson was WCID 12's legal counsel then, and he still is.
Chris, will you talk to us and explain why you didn't disclose there was a dump there?
That is hard, airtight evidence that Alana Croker knew before she sold me and the others the property that the place was a landfill and still failed to disclose it.
Croker had a long relationship with Matt Wiggins. Wiggins was president of the water board when the land was sold. He was also president many years before when he engineered the sale of another piece of WCID property to Croker.
Hire me as your agent.
And Croker didn't just represent the WCID 12 in the land sale, she represented Robert Kelly as the buyer's agent. So she got commissions on both sides of this half-acre smelly real estate deal. The emails proved something else. Marco Raimondo's real estate agent was Peyton Lumpkin. He clearly knew about the history of this dirt too. You see, Peyton was a water district board member when the landfill emails were circulating. He had left the board when he reached out to Marco to represent him on the land deal, and he's now back on the water board since May of 22.
And he solicited me, and it was something along the lines of, well, I think I'd be able to better represent you for this property because I'm familiar with it and I used to be on the water board. I didn't realize that he was still working for the board behind the curtain.
Croker has already ignored our call for comment, and Peyton, when we first tried to chat, hung up on us.
Both of them basically tag teamed me. And it was intentional. It's not like, oh, we forgot. It was, let's see if we can sell it to him and sweep it under the rug.
I'll be happy to talk to Marco himself, though. Thank you.
But did he? Weeks later, inquiring minds wanted to know.
I will talk to Marco.
You've already said that.
Yep.
A couple of weeks ago, and you still haven't called him. We asked him, and you haven't called him.
It sucks that people that you knew and worked with on a daily basis didn't give you a heads up of knowledge that they had, but we'll see what happens with all of that.
The emails show us who else knew about the history of the dump but didn't warn the buyers. The guy who sat next to Robert Kelly when he was on city council was our gavel-throwing friend Doug Meisinger. He knew. He won't talk to us about the suspect land deal either. So what's next? Lawyers.
Absolutely, I'm exploring all of those options with several different law firms.
Robert invested more than $250,000 in this land and wanted to build his home here. He believes Croker and her Keller Williams real estate agency not only owe him actual damages, but punitive damages too, and he has state regulators involved.
Yes, I did file a formal complaint with the Texas Real Estate Commission.
Robert's complaint to the Real Estate Commission filed November 5th includes documents from the Texas Commission of Environmental Quality and Croker's own emails. Kelly writes, quote, "These emails show conscious knowledge of the condition of the property and demonstrate the fraud committed by Croker in her failure to appropriately represent me as her client."
She was emailed a copy of the complaint along with another person from her office a copy of the complaint and given the opportunity to respond.
Time will tell if the Real Estate Commission does anything. Let's all hold our breaths. Meanwhile, Marco was also looking for a lawyer for damages for his 1-acre property. But now that this land deal is exposed, how will public officials make it right? They ought to start by buying it back.
What will you do to make it right?
I'll talk to Marco and we'll have a conversation.
I'm the only one who actually has 2 crooks that got me.
And why won't you talk to us about it? What are you hiding?
I'm not hiding anything. I just don't need to talk to you.
True, you're not required to talk to us by law, but wouldn't that be great? But you do owe an explanation to taxpayers, the people who put you in office because they have unwittingly become part of a smelly real estate deal. It should have been on the agenda of the very meeting we went to, if they really cared about the people they work for.
Did it make you even more pissed off?
I hit a certain level of pissed and then it just stays there and never goes away.